Hello. So, before getting back to discussing the aspects of the adventures of Susan MeeLing, scuba diver extraordinaire, that's me, finishing up the volume 3 section of the 3-part series, I pretty much thought, let me discuss what I know anybody who has a sibling has, at some point in time at least. So, in reference to me, my biological sister, despite her having been literally the chosen one, I mean, not only was she the planned one, as my biological parents let me know, she was the one that they planned to have, whereas I was the one who wouldn't die because of every attempt my biological mother had to get an abortion. I survived. How dare I? How dare I survive every attempt that she had to get an abortion? Rude, right? Apparently that made me rude. But it also, how dare I survive every attempt that she had done to give herself an abortion. So, for example, even though she had gone to abortion, whatever was available at that time, she also tried to throw herself down the stairs, ride her stomach down the stairs to get rid of me. Actually, remember that. But that's in utero. But anyway, so then, when, I was about, I guess I was technically 3 years old, sitting at the, 2.5, 3, whatever. Mike and Anna, my biological mother and biological father, Anna looks at Mike and says, "Hey." And he goes, "What?" And mind you, I'm sitting in my high chair. "You want to actually have one?" And then they look at me, that we want. Oh, okay. So then they go to the bedroom, and I stay in my chair. Their bedroom was on the other side of the kitchen, mind you. So, don't be jealous. There's nothing to be jealous of there at all. So, my my biological sister was, created, and born. The entire time Anna was pregnant, she would sit across from me and be like, "This one is wanted. You're you." Oh. Excuse me. You could have, put me up for adoption. I'm sure that there's, somebody that would have treated me better than you. Stuff like that. So then, when Patricia was actually born, well, "Look, Susan, this is your little sister. We actually want her. We don't want you. Can you just, go off somewhere and die?" And it's like, "Oh, wow, I'm only 4. Excuse me. Hey, Susan, what?" And mind you, that's Anna. "There's a pool in the backyard." Yeah, that's where A is. There was an Olympic-sized pool in the backyard that was filled in, that Mike had put the doghouse at, and that's where A lived. And I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Why don't you go swimming?" And I'm like, "I can't, because it's dirt." You can't go swimming in dirt. She goes, No. There's a pool that formed at the back end of the property by the lilac bushes and the dogwood trees." I was like, "The red water?" And she's like, "Yeah, why don't you go swim in that?" I mean, I like to go swimming, so I guess I'll go. And then later it was found out that what was it? The well had busted. Like there was an issue with the well and the filtration system, and so it was a combination of like that sulfur and then the iron and like a whole bunch of other stuff that I should not have gone swimming in, apparently. I'm sure there are scientists that could tell you you shouldn't go swimming in that stuff. Probably. Probably. And then again, I grew up in the state of New Jersey, so who knows what else was in there. And so, no offense, I do miss my home state, but people who are from New Jersey, especially the 1980s, understand that by a lot. You know, like I had people later on who were like, you know, how could you survive all that stuff? You're like a scientific anomaly. Well, I did get conceived and breathe the oxygen in the state of New Jersey in the 1980s and 90s. And then I drank the water because, yeah, let's be honest on that. Because older pipe systems and all that stuff and everything, are you kidding me? I'm sure there is somebody somewhere who has found certain issues later on as far as that being concerned. So that be, and then at Old Tennant Presbyterian Church, it was well water there, and you can literally smell the sulfur before you ever got near the actual water fountain. I was like, I mean, I'll go and get something to drink, but I don't know if it's supposed to smell like that. I mean, if it's sulfur water, I guess, technically, but I don't know if, like, people should be drinking that. I don't know. But I did, so it is what it is. I don't know if, like, I'm sure there's some doctor that might tell you whether or not that's actually safe to do. So, you know, that is what it is. But, you know, in reference to my biological sister, you know, she was very much told from the beginning, oh, you know, you're the wanted one, you're the planned one, you're this, you're that. And then very much informed that my biological sister, Patricia Ann Halm is her maiden name. She married into the Miller family, which is a common last name. But, you know, pointing at me, Anna, and Mike, mainly Anna, Susan wasn't wanted. You know, she just kind of somehow survived. So, you know that you're the favorite. You're the one we wanted. So she grew up with that. And yet she still, for whatever excuse, felt the need to compete with me. And it's like, so let me understand this correctly. You get in trouble, meaning Patricia Ann. You get in trouble, and then I get blamed for it. So if she did something wrong, I dealt with that. It wasn't like, you know, oh, go, whatever. No. I literally got beat for that. So, you know, those who understand, like, that sort of situation, I'm not going to lie. If I didn't do something, I am not going to get in trouble for it because I have, but I'm not going to take, you know, responsibility for something I didn't do. And despite the amount of ass beatings I got, and my biological father, he was a 3rd-degree black belt who was taught by a Korean master. That meant he hit hard. It wasn't like a pop go. It was, I went flying across the room. One swat, and then he chased after me to beat me some more. And that was for what Patricia did. If I actually did something wrong, then it would be like, yeah, I did it. And I'd still get in trouble, but ironically, I didn't get beat nearly as bad if I admitted I did something and then, you know, got in trouble for what I did, which realistically wasn't much because I was getting in enough trouble as it was. But, you know, when I would get in trouble for what Patricia did, well then, I had to dodge actual filing cabinets And I'm talking filing cabinets that were built in the 1960s and 1970s, that were my height now, that were the 4 drawers, but they were full of jewelry tools. He picked that up and threw it, and I had to dodge that to get out of the way so I didn't get, crushed by one of those things multiple times. And I understand that he had, an anger issue. I don't, say that that's necessarily okay, but I do give more leniency in certain regards despite that situation, mainly because of Anna. But anyway, so Patricia, my biological sister, felt this weird need to have some sort of competition. Retarded. There was no competition. She was everybody's at the church. She was, oh look, she actually looked like Mike and Anna, combined, whereas I look like me. I don't look Asian. I do have makeup on. That probably makes me look Asian, but that's about it. Me without my makeup, I do not. I mean, maybe some people have said they could see it in my cheeks, maybe, but not in the way. When you look at Patricia, Patricia looks like a Filipino. She has that dark, black, straight, not curly at all hair that go, and then that olivey complexion and slanted eyes. Like, she doesn't have to actually do the makeup to make them look like that. She actually just has, the slanted eyes and stuff, and it's just like, okay, well, supposedly the same biological aspects, but I don't know, maybe I have wondered if it was just the same oven and a different baker. I really have. That made Mike so angry at me when I said that, and he was like, what do you mean same oven, different baker? And I was like, same oven, Anna, her uterus, different baker, inseminator. That didn't go over so well. That did not go over so well at all. But I actually am his daughter. I just, don't look at, I got all the recessive genes, apparently, in that regard when it comes to looks. So, whereas, everybody in Anna's family, oh, Patricia, blah, blah, blah. And then there's Susan. Oh, hi. What's going on? Although Grandma on, my maternal grandmother, she actually, cared. She was actually proud of me I have no idea why. Though she also wound up going into the nunnery. Or whatever that's called. She actually went and got her Catholic degree of something later on in life, which actually wound up occurring. Grandma had come down from New York State to New Jersey one year, and this is before she went to college. And I think I was either in 3rd or 4th grade, and I told her, Grandma, I had a dream and I'm really, really nervous about it. And she looked at me and she was like, well, Susan, sometimes you have dreams that are a little nerve-wracking, so you actually need to tell me what your dream was. It's like, okay. So I dreamed that there was this fertilizer smell, and in the dream it kind of looked like somewhere in either New York City or one of the other cities, and there was this fertilizer smell in my dream. She goes, okay. And I said, and then there was a boom, and it was at the bottom of the big building. And she goes, okay. And I was like, and then there were airplanes, and airplanes flew in, and there was, the smell and stuff. And then I woke up because I was really upset. And my grandmother looked at me and she was like, oh my God. Well, I'm going to wish that doesn't happen. And I was like, okay, I do too, because I don't like that dream. That's been getting more and more prevalent. And she was like, what did you just say to me? It's like, the dream has become more and more prevalent. Why, Grandma? And she was just like, oh my God, okay, all right. I mean, she obviously met like Mike's side of the family at the wedding and stuff like that. So she met like my Buckle and Buck Pooh. And so, and my grandmother was already in the Eastern Star and Rosicrucians, by the way, as well as my Buckle being a part of a few other sects, and then of the like the Golden Dawn and stuff. And then both of them had Hebrew, both sets. And that includes my Bakbu. But my Bakbu, because he was Cantonese, he actually went to various Hebrew temples and stuff like that. More easily than my Bakbu did because she was Mandarin. And so, but yeah, you know, as far as my grandmother was concerned, she's like, oh my God, have you talked with your Bakong? And I'm like, not yet, we're going to be going up to see him. And she's like, make sure you tell your Bakong about that dream. So I go, I was planning on it. And I'm going to go see what's in the apartment that he got new and stuff like that. So, you know, or condo, whatever. And so then, you know, when I did see my Bakong, oh, you know, after Mike and Anna and Patricia went out with Aunt Linda and Uncle Phil, you know, to go, you know, do stuff I wasn't apparently allowed to do, which always got rubbed in my face. They was always like, oh, ha, 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 I went here. What was it like? Oh, well, it was so cool. There was this, there was that. Oh, that sounds fun. Wish I could have gone. But apparently, you know, I couldn't. So, you know. Why don't you tell me about it? No, you're not allowed to know because you're not good enough to go there anyway. Oh, thanks. Anyway, so told my Buckung about that dream, and he was like, oh my God, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah. And then I told my my babysitter about that dream as well, Sonia and Joe, or Sonia and Jose, yeah. And ironically, the day of in 1993, he wound up actually being sick that day, which was good because, you know, he survived, but, you know, yeah. That being said, so Patricia would do all these things just to get, like, more attention. Like, she didn't have enough. Like, she didn't have everybody, like, fawning over, oh, you know, on Mike's side of the family, oh, you actually look Asian, so we can, you know, take you places and, you know, you'd be okay. Whereas Susan, you know, you look like you, so you have to stay at the apartment because nobody wants to see you because you don't look Chinese. Oh, okay. Excuse me for being born the way I am, but, you know, whatever. So one day, Mike and Anna were asked to watch or dog sit, you know, like somebody's little dog. Patricia took that little dog that was like the size of, like, it wasn't a toy poodle, but it was like the size of either a chihuahua, a toy poodle, no bigger than a pug. Put it in the microwave. I do not need to finish that because you know exactly what happened after she turned on the microwave. And then I got in trouble for it. I got beat because Patricia put a dog in the microwave, turned it on, poof, and literally, but not so fluffy like that, but boom, like that, and with a lot of whining beforehand, and because, you know, it was being microwaved, and it was just one of those, Okay, because Mike and Anna had stepped out and gone somewhere, and I was like, okay, well, I was upstairs doing stuff. How was I supposed to know she was going to put a dog in the microwave? And so, I got in trouble for that. I got beat because Patricia chased the dog around the kitchen table to pick up the dog. Patricia then opened the microwave, then put the dog in the microwave, and then Patricia closed the microwave door, then turned the dial, and then what happened to the dog? Boom. I got in trouble for that. I had to clean that up, and then I got in trouble. I still don't understand how I got in trouble for what Patricia did, but that happened a lot by that time. And she was in second grade. I was in sixth grade. I knew better than to do that. Seriously. Then I got in trouble for her chasing me around the kitchen table with a butcher knife. So, there are such things as sibling rivalry. But don't be jealous of the level that my biological sister had against me when it came to the treatment of. Like, I mean, and then, but then, like, for another example, my biological parents, they got a swing set. Put the swing set in the backyard after Patricia was, like, about to go into kindergarten. I'm 4 years older. So there was this whole birthday party thing. My friend, who was a neighbor who lived across the street, Timothy, were like, oh, let's go play. Mike and Anna tell us, no. You two can play after Patricia plays with her swing set. Want to go play football? Yeah, let's go play football. Okay, we'll go play football. And we went to the other end of the property and went and played football. Because, we had to wait until Patricia was done playing on the swing set. And then she got mad that we weren't watching her and her friends on the swing set and having fun. She threw this temper tantrum. Oh, I want her to see me have fun and she can't have fun. And it's like, what is wrong with you? Like, what is wrong with your brain to, like, think that that's acceptable? But because, she looked actually Asian, whereas, I'm me, and she did all the stuff that, like, Anna tried to get me into dance. And the dance that she tried to get me into was ballet. I looked at her, I was like, could I do, like, tap? Or jazz? Or hip-hop? Or anything but ballet? No offense to ballerinas. Just not that type of a dancer. I mean, I can, but... And so she was like, no, you'll learn it. So, go in the ballet class. Let me put it to you the most simplistic way I possibly can. The ballet teacher, at the end of the class, after the rehearsal or the performance or whatever, where you go in front of everybody on the stage, you do the ballet thing, I think it's called a performance, whatever. Afterwards, she goes, so Susan, yes, miss, I don't remember what her name was, or is. So, do not take ballet next year. I'm going to tell your mom that. You can take any other dance class. Do not take ballet. I do not want you in my class. No offense, you've got rhythm, you are not meant for ballet. And one of the things that really annoyed her was when I was in the class, I would go on my tippy toes, like in point. And she was like, you can't do that in ballet. And I'm like, but I can, because I'm doing it, and like, this is ballet class. So, see? Mama tippy toes. Like, and then I mean like literally on my toes. And she was just like, no, you can't do that. Yeah, I can. See? I did it. You're gonna mess up your feet. I mean, I think that point dancers know, but like I mean, I'm just, you know. She's like, you're gonna mess up your feet. So I took off my ballet slippers and I was like, see, not gonna mess them up any worse than, because I have this issue with one of my toes on my left foot. I was born that way. Like, I don't like my feet. I don't like feet. I'm not a feet person. I know that there are people who are into feet. I am not one of them. I mean, like, I understand that you need them and all that sort of stuff. But, like, baby feet are cute. You know, tootsies, you know, baby feet. Once they're about 2 years old, they're not so cute. It's just a personal thing. It's just a personal thing. I know that there are people who are into feet. I am personally not one of them. It's a personal thing. I just don't like feet. I know that they're important, blah, 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 you need them, blah, blah, blah. I mean, there are prosthetics nowadays, and that's cool. I mean, that you know, I don't want to have that if I can avoid it, but you know, I have no problem with that, you know, because, you know, I just don't like feet. It's just, I don't like them touching me when cuddling, when, you know, I can be all cuddly and stuff. I just don't like them touching. It's just, keep your feet to yourself. Just, ew. I'm weird, I know. But so Patricia continued on throughout childhood into teenage years. She got her friends at Old Town Presbyterian Church to, you know, essentially, how many people want to deal with people that are 4 years younger than them and have to like bat them off, not with a bat, although sometimes I kind of wanted to with an actual bat out the park. But then even including the younger ones to like, oh look, she doesn't look, you know, as Patricia would say, like me, blah, 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 you know. It was ridiculous. It was the amount of people she would get to go after me because she was already the favorite. She was already everybody's like view of perfection. You know, she did the ballet. She wound up going into the actual point thing. And she did all the different levels of dance, whereas I went into gymnastics, and I mean, I did do, you know, tap and jazz afterwards because, you know, the teacher spoke with Anna and was like, do not, I will refuse. The dance teacher said, I will refuse your check for Susan to be in ballet. I will not allow you to register her for ballet. You can register her for any other dance class, not ballet. People who know the East Coast, especially, but those who also understand, you know, nope, not gonna take your money. Nope. Not for her to be in ballet. Absolutely not. In New Jersey again. Nope. But then again, she also like ran competitions in her. Although by technicalities, that kind of takes it to another level because the money that goes into going into competition. But no, I don't want her in my ballet. No. Absolutely not. She can do the tap and the jazz and the hip hop irony, but not in ballet. Nope. Absolutely not. Will not take your money, Anna. Scooch. And it's like, told you, I could do tap, I could do jazz, I could do hip hop. I am not meant for ballet. I mean, I can kind of ish do ballet now, ish, but not in a traditional way. Definitely not in a tradition. Although you guys have to, like, after this video, you gotta look up. There are hip hop point ballerinas. Now, if they had that back when I would have been all over that like white on rice. I'd have been like, oh, yes, that was so cool. I can't, but you know, still awesome. Awesome to see. And so, yeah. But nonetheless, so, you know, Patricia continued like throughout. And then when moving from New Jersey to Illinois, I started dating, you know, after I turned 16. That was when I was allowed to date. So, stuff. So, with the exception of one male, and that is literally only because we went on one date. And he was more like a brother, and I was more like a sister at that time. And so, literally the only guy that she did not try to sleep with. And in most cases, succeeded. While I was dating whoever, yeah, that started back in Illinois. She thought that it was better to, like, be able to, it's like, well, you know, if you're able to get them to do that, I don't really want them anyway then. Because if you're able to convince them to cheat on me, then I want someone who's loyal. And if you're gonna cheat on me, you're not worth my time at all. I have a thing about loyalty. I mean, I am polyamorous, but it is not necessarily the standard type. I mean, there are plenty of polyamorous people who are similar to me, where, you know, if getting to know someone and genuinely developing a relationship, but cheating is not polyamory. Cheating is cheating. And that's the end of that. And so Patricia had done that with, I don't even know. And then it was weird because in Crystal Lake South at that time, you know, I would break up with the boyfriends because it was like, you cheated on me with my biological sister? No, I'm not going to date. Or if they didn't cheat on me with Patricia, they cheated on me with another female. I was like, no, I'm not interested. So then I had females at Crystal Lake South who came up to me and they were like, you're such a slut. Do tell me how I'm a slut. Tell me, how does that work? And so I was told that because I had multiple boyfriends that I was just going through like, no, that because I did that, that made me a slut. And I was like, really? I thought a slut meant you actually had to sleep with them and sit on something. But if just dating a bunch of guys and not having any like of that at all, what's like not even second base, like not second base, not third base. Some of them didn't even get a kiss, you know, at first base. Damn sure not a home run. So no, that just going on dates makes me a slut to you. Okay, well, I guess I'm Slutty McSlutterson for that, because if going on a bunch of dates makes that bad, okie dokie, then I apparently, you know, the same pattern of behavior after my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. I've been on a whole bunch of dates. I have had relationships with a whole bunch of individuals, but not all of them did I sit on something. Number is at technically 12 because of, you know, second time around, but nonetheless, or 11. Either way, like I literally didn't hit the double digit mark until the male I wound up in Washington State with. That was when I hit the double digit mark. That was 2013. So I don't know how old I was by then biologically, but I was born in 1982. By 2013, I hit the, hit the double digit mark. So if that makes me Slutty McSlutterson, I guess that, and I've only, one extra since then. So I guess that technically means 11. So yeah, 11. A whole lost by virginity, or gave by virginity, because it's not lost. I mean, like, I chose. But yeah. From the age of 16 to however many years old. And let me add, I have been in the BDSM, LGBTQP, and swinger lifestyles officially since 2004. And in 2013, I hit that double digit mark. That makes me all, I mean, I think that's a backwards way of looking at stuff, but whatever. And not that there's anything wrong with the community. I actually very much enjoy the communities. I really do. But I also, despite what the communities are, I also don't go expecting to be able to. When I've gone to different events, to different munches, to different, parties and stuff, it's always been, because I gotta have that, like, connection where they, can actually feel comfortable speaking with and stuff like that. And especially with BDSM, because I'm far more BDSM than I am swinger, gotta be able to have that. And that discussion and stuff like that, freely and openly, not an issue. And so, Patricia, on the other hand, she actually, when moving to the state of Texas, by the time she was in the state of Texas, she had already cheated with my now dead ex-husband multiple times. Each time we went to Illinois, apparently they had a little romp, or however many per day while there. And then, when Anna and Mike sent her to San Antonio before they moved down, her and Robert, my now dead ex-husband, and a whole bunch of times. He confessed to that right before he wound up dying, but he did. And it was just one of those. So, yeah, we're never going to get back together. I mean, we were already not ever going to get back together, but no. That's a never gonna ever, 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 ever. Nope. I was already done, and that just kind of went from, in steak terms, I went from done to charcoal. Because absolutely not ever again. I mean, it was already over, but whew. You did that how many times with Patricia? Oh, okay. Absolutely not. Nope, that's a no-go ever again. Nope. And so, but here's the kicker. So, when Patricia later on was in San Antonio, she wound up having a threesome in Mike and Anna's bed in San Antonio. And it was with some high school students. I think she was a junior at the time. I think she was a junior. She was already on the Pommy squad, all that sort of stuff. And she had a threesome. In Mike and Anna's bed, she admitted it and all that. Not that I didn't catch them on top of that, because I did at their house, but that is what it is. As one of those. So when Patricia had repeatedly said that she thought I was a slut, I was like, And what's your number? And you are just such a slut, Susan. At that point in time, I couldn't even count, past one hand. And I was just like, I don't know about that. I don't know. I mean, I admit I had a threesome once, and it was in Illinois, but I didn't sit on anything. They just had stuff to eat, and so that was my technical threesome, and so I don't know if that technically counts. But it technically does, but it's kind of like a halfway-ish. And she was just like, that's the exact same. No, I don't think so, because I don't sit on anything. I mean, I sat on a chair. I didn't sit on anything else. And by technicalities, they got themselves off because they just got something to eat. And that was the end of that. And, it is what it is. And so then she wound up getting upset at me for that. And it was like, well, that's not my fault, I've had a say. I guess I technically can. I've said this about cooking, and I guess by technicalities, I can say this in a double entendre way now that I realize it. If you go away hungry, that is your own fault. And so I didn't really realize that could be a double entendre until this very second. But, it's only the 4th of April 2020 that I realized that. But, whatever. It is what it is on that. But, nothing. Anyway. So, that being said, that didn't stop Patricia, my biological sister. She went on various tirades of, oh, you're this, you're that, and, if you would just look normal, and everything was a competition to her. And she would continuously talk down to me. I mean, including during the 2008 election. Look at you, how can you vote for Senator McCain and Governor Palin? Very easily. That don't. That's how I'm gonna do it. And well, no. Look at your hair. Look at your hair. You automatically should be voting for Obama. Well, I know he's gonna wind up as president, but no, I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon. I'm going to vote for who I believe is the ideal candidate, despite knowing that, I mean, he's going to be able to do some good stuff. I'm not saying that he's not, but, looking at military and law enforcement and all that sort of stuff, I want to make sure that the guys, who are in the active aspect are able to feel that they can, be comfortable with their commander-in-chief. And, I have this feeling that they're just not going to feel comfortable with, who at that time eventually would become President Obama. And not that they wouldn't necessarily be comfortable, just they would feel like they're walking on eggshells all the time. And, they'd still know how to do their job, but they just, they'd have to watch every little thing they said. And instead of being blunt and to the point, they'd have to start sugarcoating things, and certain things just can't be sugarcoated. And then, when he would eventually get to the point where he would realize oh, they really can't sugarcoat things. By that time, in certain regards, it would be difficult for him to backtrack to go and not get, but actually earn the confidence of those guys back. And so, and that would take a while for some things. People who have military backgrounds, law enforcement backgrounds, there's automatically an understanding in certain regards. And again, it was no offense towards Obama at that time, Senator Obama, and then President Obama. I still supported him when, he was president. I wasn't disrespectful or anything. I disagreed with certain political stances. But I did not, say anything or do anything disrespectful towards him. I mean, at all. I knew better. But I also took the oath when it came to joining the military. And despite the fact I didn't graduate basic training, part of that oath is protecting the commander-in-chief. It's that simple. And so I didn't, as far as him apparently being, the first black president, okay, whatever, that was not that was an excuse, in my opinion. That was an excuse for a bunch of people, and it was like, do you actually understand what he stands for? Do you actually understand what you are saying when you say you are voting for him just because he is black? Do you understand how racist that sounds? That sounds very racist to me. I actually am quite offended by that. That you are telling me that the only reason why you're voting for, at that time, President Obama, or who became President Obama, is because he's black. That to me sounds racist. I mean, technically you should be saying African American or whatever the term is, but, because I still have not seen any black person that is breathing. Because, again, that is the color of black. My skirt is black. I have not seen a person that is that color. Just saying. That was breathing. Those who have been in certain boroughs of New York City and New Jersey understand what I mean when I say I have not seen anybody breathing that was that color. I know that there are other locations throughout the United States of America and the world who very much understand that sentiment. But nonetheless, Patricia especially was just, oh, well, how dare you not, look at you, look at your skin, you have a bunch of tattoos. I mean, if you want to make and oh, that pissed her off. I said, well, if you want to make the joke, or a joke about it, what is the artistic definition for the color black? It is the absence of light, but it is all of the colors combined. By technicalities. I got that, there's black that outlines that, but, still, that doesn't, if you're talking about the first African-American president, well, still, that's kind of racist to only vote for him on that point, and not because of political views that you agree with. And then she went on with certain things, and it was like, well, I don't deny that there are certain aspects that I can agree with, but I have additional points that I think would be more beneficial than just going off of that. And again, no offense towards who became and now is former President Barack Obama and Vice President Biden. It's just, I just didn't feel that they could, I didn't feel that they knew what they were in for when it came for certain things. And And so, and not in a mean or negative way, just military law enforcement guys, there is a certain bluntness. And civilians at this point in time, as after 9/11, and the military things that have occurred, you civilians that have not had military backgrounds, if you're honest, you will admit, there are times where you did not understand that blunt and to the point. And so, Patricia complained about that. And it was just one of those. The other thing she complained about was, well, these military guys are getting jobs before her, and she had college and all that sort of stuff. And by that time, I already had my 26 scuba diving certifications. She would talk down to me and say, you are just too stupid to understand. If you had actually gone to college and actually had a degree, and it's like, okay. I mean, I like all of my scuba certifications all of my tests would equal a 4.0 with the exception of the ones where I had to do math. And I don't deny that, but that would essentially take me down to like a 3.8 at the least point. But go ahead and tell me about your education. What is your GPA for your... Okay. But she would continuously talk down and all that sort of stuff, and you don't know, it's like, well, if you went into the Peace Corps for a couple of years, you would have a leg up on that. But, fine. And I gave her various ideas of what to do. She just didn't want to listen to me. But, the continuous sibling rivalry issue that she had, I didn't ever feel the need to compete with her. It was one of those, I know where I stand. I know exactly where, Mike and they have made it abundantly clear how they view me. How they view my children. You, in that regard, Patricia, is one of those, you have very much made it clear that where I care about my son, I care about my daughter. The false claim of you and Mike and Anna to move from Illinois to the state of Texas to help me with my children, false claim. Repeatedly. And so, then there were the times where Patricia could not understand me being in the lifestyle. It's like, I'm older than you and you're going to attempt to lecture me on the lifestyle, and you've been with what number? And you want to tell me that you're embarrassed of me being in the lifestyle? Because there were some guys that were in the Austin scene, and they had asked me, they came up and they were like, Lady Dori, Belle. I'm like, yeah, what's up? And they were just like, so do you have a sister that goes to San Marcos University? And I was like, yeah, I do. Yeah, Patricia. Biologically only, though. And a couple of them, one in particular, said, is she in the master's program? I was like, yeah, she's in the master's program. She's going in for some coroner forensic psychology, something or another. Why? And he goes, I thought so. I asked her about you, and she said that she was an only child. It's like, yeah, she was kind of raised that way. She was kind of raised as the special snowflake of the family, because she looks Asian and I look like me. She actually was a prima ballerina. Like, she actually was the sugar plum princess something another in the Nutcracker Suite or whatever, and I'm me. And, all this other stuff. And he was like, well, she said she's an only child. Like, that doesn't surprise me. But yeah, no, biologically, yeah. So he wound up going and speaking with her apparently later. I got a phone call from Patricia, and she was infuriated. Infuriated that I told the truth. And it was one of those, oh, excuse me for being honest. Then again, she did that to who she was engaged to as well. What turned into her husband, Zach, had no idea I existed. Like, Mike, Anna, and Patricia never once told who she wound up getting married to. She had an older sister. So I have no idea what they told people in Illinois. I can guesstimate. As far as, after the head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000 and all that sort of stuff. And it's just one of those, I understand that people have sibling rivalry. My biological sister took it to a level that was ridiculous, to say the least. Ridiculous. And for someone who had a threesome and sat on both in junior year of high school to to tell me that a pink negligee was too slutty. Irony on how you spell two and two different in that scenario. And then when you... it's that Latin aspect that I took back in high school. In New Jersey, I guess, just the pun on words, I guess. But, and I get it, 2/3 of the pun, ha 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 ha. But, she had her issues, and it continued on, and it was one of those, I don't know why. I mean, like, she was literally everybody's favorite. Everybody loved Patricia. And I dealt with the other end of the stick instead. It was one of those, if people chose to continue believing Patricia instead of me, knowing that I cannot tell a lie, that is what it is. But I will end on this particular point where I had been engaged to a guy twice. And she could not stand that guy. She saw that I was happy, and she was just, oh, how dare you be happy? Oh, yeah, I know. Excuse me, apparently that's an issue. And, oh, he's just too smooth. What does that mean? I don't understand. Well, he just knows the right thing to say. Oh, okay. Sure. Well, if you have a problem, why don't you speak with him about it? I have a feeling he not gonna care. I have a feeling he'll be nicer to you than I will, to a degree, depending on how far you push him. And so, but yeah, she had of the few that she met, she had an adoration for my now dead ex-husband. She had an adoration for Cactus Jack, also known as Jeffrey Kirkendall Jr. She had an adoration for Philip Armstead. She had an adoration for Patrick Kennedy. Absolutely 100% despised who I was engaged to. So, for those that um, know those individuals, you can pretty much take that to the bank and cash it to understand how much she absolutely, those guys that she preferred them, but the one guy that I was engaged to, oh, could not stand that. Oh, she had an issue with me being happy. And it's one of those, all right, fine. So, I do acknowledge after everything that happened with my daughter and having to go through that aspect of that in the court system, and attempting to do the best that I could despite the situations and stuff. Again, so much for them actually moving to the state of Texas to assist me with my son and my daughter. In 2016, I wound up being contacted by Anna, my biological mother. And I was like, you know what? I am infuriated that now is when you feel like reaching out to me. So I'm going to send you each and every one of the books I wrote up to that point. And I included a letter to Mike. And I do not doubt for a second that my biological mother started throwing her typical temper tantrums. She probably went over to Patricia's husband, Zach, their family, and then they probably learned exactly what I meant when it came to, I cannot stand crying. Not if there is not an actual reason. And, oh, she wrote the truth. And then Patricia, being herself, probably, tried to spin it and make it, better for them. And, I don't know. I don't know in specific the individuals that Patricia married into that family particularly. But what I do know is they had acres inside of the city of Austin. That's what I do know. And my math, despite the number issue, is that is old Texas money. And I don't know much more than that. I know that means something. I don't actually know what it means. Other than it's old Texas money, and I don't actually know what that definition is. I could laugh at myself. But I would guesstimate when reading in the Finding Silver Lining aspect, when, oh, she landed at the bottom of the ocean. Where? Where did she land at the bottom of the ocean? Well, in the northeast abyss. Where did she land at the bottom of the ocean? Oh my God. Hi. They were very nice when I met them. When I knew in meeting and stuff. I was respectful at the wedding, despite the fact that I was yelled at by Patricia because I wore a gown that was the wedding colors, and somebody could mistake me for being a part of the wedding party, despite my son being the ring bearer and my daughter being the flower girl. So, and then, Patricia learned from Anna. I mean, Anna wound up telling people in the Red Hat Society that my son and my daughter were like, somehow Patricia gave birth to them but never gave birth to them. Just saying. I remember being in labor for 7 days with each one. I remember being pregnant with each one. I remember that. Just saying. You know, who else probably, maybe not. Well, I know there are some who definitely remember maybe not what I looked like because my hair was, not this at that time and I didn't have tattoos, but I would guesstimate they did not forget me. At all. And I would guesstimate that, Wilford Hall has those records of my labor and delivery for both of them. And, then there's, the Air Force and then the Army and then the DOD and all that. That would be able to be like, yeah. And then there's that DNA aspect of, my mitochondrial DNA being in my son and my daughter. Not. I'm sure there has to be a way at this point in time that, would prove that mitochondrial DNA for me, and yes, like Patricia being, a relative in the vicinity in comparison, but my son and my daughter, just saying. I could be wrong, I don't know. In this era, I don't know. I mean, I know there's a lot of advances with science and technology. I very much know and understand that, but, I mean, I'm just me. So, and that's not in any offense towards any science or technology guys. Just, I don't know how far they've gone in this era. So, on that note, pretty much, just there's no need for sibling rivalry. I mean, I understand the healthy competition in certain regards, like in the individual stuff that siblings do, but to have the sibling rivalry to that level, there's just no need. No need. And realistically, I mean, I could have been so much more bitter. I mean, I technically can still be much more bitter in certain regards. It's just one of those. Patricia made her choice. And she was actually embarrassed to have me at both of her graduations. She refused to let me be at either graduation for her. She did not want, same thing with Anna especially, did not want me to show up to Patricia's bachelor graduation or master's degree graduation. And then they were upset with me for being upset that I wasn't told about it until after she graduated. But, Patricia has her master's degree and she knew better than me about so many different things. So yeah, I'm just me. So, at the end of this particular one. Have a good one.